Budget Bluetooth headphones from Radio Shack. But are they any good? Let's check them out. Dave Taylor here, and I'm looking at a product from Radio Shack. Can't believe it. It has been so many years since Radio Shack has been on my radar at all. When I was growing up, anytime you needed a cable or an adapter or anything electronic or any component, it was just Radio Shack you went to. They were in every shopping mall. But as the industry sort of moved along and as things became more integrated and there was less repairability, then companies like Target and Walmart sort of grew up and took so much of Radio Shack's business. There was a moment, I remember, they were the place to go for radio-controlled cars. And then those cars showed up at Toys R Us and at Best Buy, and everything was everywhere, at which point suddenly Radio Shack didn't look so glamorous. And over the last 10 or 15 years, they sort of went away. But what happened is in May of 2023, so we're talking about 18 months ago, a huge conglomerate out of El Salvador actually called Unicomer Group bought the Radio Shack brand and trademarks and all of that material, and they started producing more products. Now, primarily their products are currently being sold through their own website, but I expect they'll get back into retail distribution, and it won't be so long that you'll be seeing Radio Shack maybe at your supermarket, maybe at Best Buy. I don't know exactly what their strategy is, but it's clear that, especially being based in El Salvador, they're really trying to come in at the low end with all of their products. They want them to be eminently affordable, and that's what these are. These are the Radio Shack Freebeat Bluetooth headphones. And I can tell you, they are definitely budget headphones. There's no way around it. They have okay components, but it's pretty plasticky, and it doesn't feel like these are something that you're going to have for the next 10 years. But when I tell you the price, you're going to be like, holy cow, I can afford those. In fact, that's like the cost of 2 large lattes at Starbucks. They're really inexpensive. Now, having said that, they aren't completely without some technological interest. So they feature 40 millimeter drivers that give you 20 to 20,000 hertz frequency response with a sound pressure level of 100 decibels plus or minus 2 decibels. They are running Bluetooth 5.3, which is really pretty close to the latest version of Bluetooth, and they say it's a 30-foot range. I found it has a considerably longer range than that. Again, walls and other devices can prove interfering and get in the way of you getting a clean signal, but these were certainly good enough that I could leave my phone in the kitchen and go check the mail without any problems. So, 15 hours of battery life, 2 hours for a full charge. They charge via USB-C. In fact, let me give you a quick tour. Everything's on the right-hand ear cup, and as you can see, there is a 3.5 millimeter jack. You can use them in wired mode if you don't want to use Bluetooth or they just ran out of battery. You can just use them wired. And then there are 4 buttons that are really difficult to read the labels. The first button is on, off, play, pause. The second button does Bluetooth searching, and it lets you answer and make a phone call. And in a moment, I'm going to give you a demo of the microphone pickup. And then on the last 2, a short press will move the track forward or backward, and a long press will increase or decrease the volume. And this is all documented in this tiny little user guide that's in English and Spanish, and I will say the user guide really needs a picture. It just has a list of the different functions on the buttons, but it doesn't tell you which button is which, and given how hard it is to see the labels on the buttons, that's something that's really easy for them to fix, and I think that would actually probably make for happier customers. But having said that, once you get them out of the box, once you charge them up, once you power them on, you can just push buttons and see what happens. And it does come with a USB-C to USB-A charging cable, and as I said, a 3.5 millimeter to 3.5 millimeter jack, so you can use them in wired mode. And so now let's go ahead and what you're hearing now is my voice as picked up by the Radio Shack Freebeat headphones. And as you can hear, it's not very loud and it sounds pretty far away. So I wouldn't use these on a long phone call because I think it will be challenging for the person on the other end to hear you. But in a pinch, in an emergency, if it's just a 60-second, yeah, mom, I'll be at the stop on time. I'll see you in a few minutes. Something like that, it's going to work just fine. So that's the audio demo. Now, what we really need to talk about is the sound reproduction. So I thought, all the different music that I have and all the different music that I listen to, I decided to go back to the 80s when Radio Shack was a big deal and listen to Duran Duran. So I listened to like Duran Duran greatest hits, and boy, that band, when they were firing on all cylinders, they were just producing hit after hit after hit, and they sounded okay on these headphones. These are budget headphones with a budget driver on each earpiece, and there's no expansive sound. There's no real sound stage. I would say that from my listening, there's a low frequency and then low mid-range. There's not a lot, but then mid-range and high are okay. So it is kind of somewhere between AM and FM radio for people who actually know what I mean by that in terms of like the sort of sound compression and expansiveness. So these are not going to win any awards for their sound reproduction, but they're not intended to. These are not $900 audiophile headphones. These are headphones that are under $30 that are intended to be affordable and the kind of thing you can give to grandma or to give to your 10-year-old. And if they break it, they break it, whatever. It's not like it was a big investment. So, for the price point, I think they are reasonable sounding. I don't think anyone's going to buy these because of the audio reproduction. But if you're listening to a podcast or you're playing games or you just are looking for something for your commute because you're on the train going into the city every morning, these will actually work okay. And because they're so affordable, I think that that's a huge thing going for them. Again, I want to be clear, you heard in the audio recording demo, and I'm telling you on the audio reproduction, they're fair to middling at best. But that's not what they're trying to do. And I think anyone who's criticizing the sound reproduction doesn't understand the purpose of this brand is to make technology super affordable so that everyone can pick up a pair and everyone can get the benefit. Is it as good as something that's 5 times, 10 times, 100 times more expensive? Of course not. That's true of all consumer electronics. So that's not what they're trying to do. And so given their goal is to have something that's eminently affordable, they actually succeed pretty well. There are some things I would change. I think that microphone could do with a little bit more gain so you have a little bit better pickup. And certainly better drivers are going to give them better sound, but it'll increase the price. So all in all, these are entirely functional for what they're intended to be, which are super affordable budget Bluetooth headphones. And in that, I think the company succeeds pretty darn well. So we do need to talk price. Before we get there, I'm going to ask you to subscribe to my channel. Click or tap on that subscribe button, hit that bell icon to get notifications. Give me a thumbs up if you found this of value, and I hope it's pretty obvious that I'm very honest in my reviews. They sent me these headphones, but that doesn't mean I'm going to tell you they're fantastic, because they're not really fantastic, but they're not horrible. So they're somewhere in the middle. That's not a strong, glowing endorsement, but I think I gave a pretty fair assessment of them. So they are the Radio Shack Freebeat Bluetooth headphones, and they are $26.99 at radioshack.com. So for $26.99, you can pick up these headphones and give them to someone who might be prone to breaking them or losing them. Or you might use them yourself because all you're looking for is something where you're just having a little privacy, because every time you're watching a show on your phone or something, people are like, dude, can you turn it down? And so now you got a solution for the cost of a burger and fries. So That's what I got. I hope you appreciated this review, and I'll hope to catch you in my next review.